everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie and today I'm going to be bringing you my favorite books I've read so far for 2020. I have to say I'm pretty impressed with how many books I actually have said that are my favorites or that I've truly loved this year, and I'm so excited to actually let you guys know what I've been loving. You guys probably can guess a few on this list, but you know what? We're just gonna roll with it. Anybody want to guess probably one of my favorite books I've read this year? Behind Closed Doors, if anyone is at all surprised. I actually own this copy, however, my mother is taking her sweet time reading it. So this one is so good, like 100% a great thriller. I absolutely love it. So many people like recommended it to me and I absolutely loved it. If you don't know what this book is about a married couple who you kind of see their past and present chapters, and basically in the past they're falling in love, they're getting married, and then in the present you kind of get the sense that, you know, their relationship's not all right. And let me just tell you, your feeling is correct because it's not all right. I absolutely love this one from the beginning to the end. I always had this like eerie feeling that something was going on, and I absolutely love it. 100% recommend. My next favorite that I want to mention is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I've mentioned this one a ton of times on my channel as well, but I love this book. It is one of my absolute favorite books of all time. Like, I would recommend this one to anyone that's wanting a nice, decent romance that has a little bit more substance and emotion to it. This one involves a married couple again, one in their past and one in the present. In the present, they are married, but they're having a lot of marital issues. And in the past, they are actually falling in love. And I just absolutely love this book so much. It has like a very key element to it that I actually, you know, connect with a little bit more. So if you're wanting a good, great book, I would check this one out. Another book that I want to mention is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. I read this one towards the beginning of the year, and let me just tell you, I love how unique, original, and like different this book is. This one follows another married couple who are suffering with like infertility, and they both work in this hospital. One is a ER nurse and the other one is a surgical doctor, and they bring in this child, and like this child was so neglected, abused, and like just so like in the worst condition. And this married couple at the hospital just absolutely adore this child, and they take like custody of her immediately. Well, once she comes into the home, they kind of realize this child is not all what she cracks up to be. I've also heard this one is being made into a movie recently, so I would definitely check this one out if you're very curious. It's so good, 5 stars. Another book that actually helped me with my mental health once the coronavirus hit was the Bromance Book Club. I love this book. I was actually pleasantly surprised just based on the cover. I'm thinking like, ooh, cheesy, smutty romance, which I'm not all about. I like a little bit more hard-hitting romances. But this one involves a married couple. The guy's name is Gavin. His marriage is kind of suffering. There's also mentioned that his wife has been faking her orgasms and she wants a divorce, and he is not wanting to give up. So him and his friends actually read cheesy romances to win their women back, and it's just so cute, so touching. There are some steamy scenes, I will let you know that, but I absolutely love this one. I was crying, I was laughing, I was just so much enjoying it, and it really was a great distraction from everything else that's happening in the world. The next book I want to talk about is No Exit by Taylor Adams. And one thing I absolutely loved about this book, it was an immediate page turner. My heart was racing. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. This is such a wonderful book. If you have not read it, please do yourself a favor and go pick it up. This one involves a college student by the name of Darby. She is traveling in a blizzard in the middle of like Colorado, trying to get home before her mother like passes away because she's very ill. And because she's in the middle of a blizzard, she has to pull over into a rest stop. And there's a few other strangers, but when she goes outside to make a call, she realizes that there's a van with a child trapped inside of a dog cage type contraption. So now she's stuck in the middle of a snowstorm at a rest stop with a child abductor, and she has no idea who it is. And let me just tell you, if you think you know what's happening in this book, just just know you're completely wrong, because it will keep you guessing until the very end. So many plot twists, and like a great page turner. I would recommend. This one probably has to take the crown for one of my favorite books of all time, but again, it's no surprise. It's 11/22/63, another Stephen King book. This one is so thick, but let me just tell you, this book was everything I ever wanted in a book, but it had other stuff in there that I truly don't really pick up in books, like time travel, historical fiction, and like history. Like, that's just stuff I don't gravitate towards, but this book was so wonderful. I would highly recommend you pick this one up. But basically, you have this guy named Jake. He is able to go back in time to 1958, and he is on a mission to stop the assassination of JFK on 11/22/1963. So he's got 5 years to figure out like what to do, and he goes on these like little missions, and it's just so good. Like, this is, I love this book, and I've actually have a few of my friends in my book club, and they're starting this book, and I'm not rereading it just because I want to try to tackle a lot more books on my shelves, but I'm going to be there with them to like discuss the whole book because I love this book so much. Yes. Another book that I want to talk about is Unthinking Of Any Things by Ian Reed, I believe is the author. I do own this book, but my friend is borrowing it at the time. But this one is a very short story. It is only like 200 pages. Basically, you're following this woman who is on a trip with her boyfriend, and she's going to go meet his parents for the first time. They live in this like farm area, and his parents are like super weird and kind of crazy, and on their way back home they kind of stop at this like abandoned school, and then things just get really weird from there. But in her internal monologue, she's kind of talking about how great her and her boyfriend are, but yet she's also thinking about ending things. And let me just tell you, this book had a very confusing ending, but once you like kind of understand like what happened, it's so good. Like, I absolutely love it. I gave it 5 stars. I would highly recommend. One book that I'm super excited about that my friend Jacqueline actually recommended to me was Therona Girls by Amy Engel, and this one was so good and so disturbing in like the craziest way. Like, what's crazy about this book is you know what's happening, but you're not. The craziest thing about this book is you know what's happening, but like it's not said like in black and white exactly what's happening until like the very end. But the whole time you're reading, you're like, why is this happening? Why is no one talking about this? Like, is this really what's happening? Like, am I reading this correctly? And it's just so good. I won't tell you what's happening because it's going to spoil it, but this one involves a woman where when she was like 16 years old, her mother passes away, and she actually goes and lives with her long lost family that she didn't really know much about. And when she goes there, she has a cousin who is living with her grandparents, and in between chapters they're talking about their summer that she spent there. She only spent 1 summer, and then she ran away. And then in present day as an adult, she gets a phone call from her grandfather saying that her cousin has ran off. No one knows where she is, that she needs to come home. So she comes home, try to figure out what happened to her cousin, because it's very strange that her cousin ran off without a word, because that's just super bizarre. And this book is just very disturbing in the best ways, but like not in the best ways, but like reading in a way, best ways. But I would recommend this if you can handle stuff like that. Another book that I want to talk about is a romance, and that is November 9 by Colleen Hoover. And this is probably my second favorite romance that I've read by her, and I absolutely love this one. It's definitely made me cry multiple times throughout the whole book, and I just absolutely love this one. This one involves a woman who is, I believe when she's 18, she wants to go and be on Broadway in New York, I believe. But before, she actually was in a fire. She's a burn victim. She's scarred. And she runs into this guy, and literally the day before she's leaving to go to New York, and they just have such a great time and a great chemistry. So they make this pact to meet every single day for the first 5 years on November 9th, every single day of the year, which is actually the anniversary of her fire. So it's so great. It's so wonderful. What happens in between these characters is just like devastating, but yet beautiful. I just love this one. I've cried so hard reading this book. So, and the last book that I want to talk about is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I have the book, but a friend is borrowing it again, as I told you. I absolutely love this book. I think this is my favorite Riley Sager book that he has done. It is so good. I've mentioned it multiple times on this channel, but I'm going to mention it again. It involves a woman named Maggie, where when she was like 5 or 6 years old, her and her parents moved into this really creepy house, stayed there for 20 days, and then in the middle of the night they left, claiming it was haunted. And then ever since they left the house, the father actually wrote a book saying it was nonfiction about their experience inside this house. So the cool thing about this book is you get to read the chapters from the father's books, like in the past, and then you get to read Maggie as an adult who goes back to the house after her father passes away to kind of get some answers. And I just loved this book so much. Great creep factor, had a lot of good plot twists. I love this book so much. All right guys, that is everything for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your favorite book of 2020 is so far down in the comments below. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram. It's at readingwithjess_, and I guess I will see you guys in my next video. I'll talk to you later. Bye.